Welcome to the Shine Your Light, Reach Your Best podcast. I'm your host, Claire Thomas. I'm on a mission to support women who feel stuck, unfulfilled and disempowered to have a successful, fulfilled, soul-led life. I guide women to reawaken their unique power so they can shine their light and reach their best. Whether you know it or not, you are an incredible, unique and powerful being, and you are here for a reason. Don't let it go to waste. This podcast is designed to support and enrich the Shine Your Light, Reach Your Best self-development coaching cards. If you have a deck, then I thank you for helping me to shine my own light. And if you haven't, then follow the link in the show notes and head on over to my website to get your deck. It will be the best, most loved investment you make this year. But for now, sit back, relax, and let's work out how to shine all our lights brightly. Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Shine Your Light podcast. I am delighted to be joined by Emily Hammond for this episode. Hi Emily, thank you for coming.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
You're the first guest on season 2 because I've been stealing the limelight for myself this season. So it's an honour and a privilege to have you here.
Thank you. I'm the one that's honoured, and it's actually my first ever podcast. So thank you.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah.
I saw you popping away to the music in the background. It's good to get going, get the adrenaline running. So for those of you listening, the reason for inviting the wonderful Emily along today is because Emily helped me create the Shine Your Light cards. So we thought it would be fun to share with others our experience. Here, there she is holding them up. Very proud of our cards. I think it's like the first time in my life that I've created something with somebody else, and it's felt so easy to do. And it's like, wow, there was definitely magic in the air when we were creating those.
Yeah, amazing. I'm so glad you felt that. It was a dream to work with you as well, and flow springs to mind.
Yeah, I mean, it was proper flow. So I suppose maybe if we just go back to the sort of the beginning of when this all came about. I think I had the idea, I think it was mid-September last year, to create some cards. And I'm pretty sure I dropped you a WhatsApp message and said, I've had this idea, I want to create some cards. And you came to mind being a graphic designer. And I think you'd been thinking about cards anyway, because somebody else wanted to do some cards potentially. Was that right?
Yeah, I can't remember who now, but not only did I have cards in my mind, I also had nature fractals in my mind as well. I think even before I met you, I'd got a flyer on my board, on my vision board, and my eldest child was doing an art project on nature fractals, and so it just kept popping into my awareness and into my world, and I just knew I wanted to do something with it, like design something with them. Bizarrely, yeah. I think even before I met you.
Yeah.
So isn't that crazy how that was on my radar, and I just knew I wanted to design something with that in mind.
And I remember when we had that conversation and we were like, this is the sort of idea for the front. I'm like, oh my God, that is insane, because I also have these images I've got my vision board just down here as I look, and it's all nature fractals and close-ups of flowers and those sorts of things. And when we had that conversation, it was like, what? How is that even possible that we've got exactly the same idea?
Yeah, I actually remember that conversation vividly. I remember saying to you, I'm thinking nature fractals of some kind, I'm thinking shapes and patterns, and you were like, yeah, okay, brilliant. And you sent me I think a picture of a book that you had right in front of you at the time.
Yeah.
And it was just like, just every single decision like that was just like, there was no, not sure about that. Should we explore this avenue instead? And it was just like, no, let's just go with that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's no questioning. No, is there a better alternative? Like, no. The fact that both of us have said exactly the same thing at the same time is like, no, that's like something definitely to go with. But yes, I mean the images that we've got on the cards, I mean they're just beautiful. I think some of them it's really obvious what they are, and some of them it has you like this one that's on the front of the box. I've had loads of comments about this one. Some say that it draws them in, some think it's a horse's eye, but I mean I don't remember which flower it is, but I think it's just like looking straight down the flower or something, isn't it, into maybe a lily of some sort.
Yeah, or an orchid.
I'm
not sure, but I love the horse's eye vision.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, and there was another story around this card, wasn't there? I don't know if you want to share that one, how it made it onto the front of the box.
Yeah, it was an angel number, wasn't it? It was the image number. We were umming and ahhing, weren't we, over what to put on? And I think you noticed that it was like 1111 or something on the and we were like, that's the one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no other reason needed apart from that, and it's got some intrigue around it as well, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, and also thinking about the whole nature fractals thing and how it came into my awareness to start with was my eldest child, teenager, had a day off school due to anxiety one day, and we went for a walk, and he started taking pictures of close-up things, and that's the only reason I knew about his art project. So like if I'd resisted him not going to school that day, I would never have found that out, so like practicing non-resistance throughout different processes makes you realize that there's a reason that happens.
And I think there's something so calming about pictures of nature and the beauty in nature. Every synthetic color that you can imagine came from nature, and it's just that there's just so much there that is so beautiful, and that's also therefore a reminder of how what a privilege it is to be alive, because all these things were created and came from somewhere. All these beautiful images were created by nature, just like we were. And that's also a really great reminder as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're part of nature, aren't we? We're part of that. The intricacies of the human body we could go into, and all the fractals, and but in the way, I just love the way nature is it's just happening, isn't it? I think we can learn a lot from that. Like life is just happening. We're not doing it. We're not making it. So for me, I try and follow the path of least resistance, because it's just going to happen anyway. Life's always going to come at us. And if you can listen and look out for those signs, then things can happen in flow, like this project.
And I think when we started it was autumn, which is a time when nature lets go of everything of the leaves that it's been having for the whole year, and is maybe a time of more introspection, etc., as you draw it into winter. And I think now we're talking and we're in the midst of spring, and all those ideas and things that we've created have that opportunity to come into full bloom. And I think that it's really useful to, as you say, just be mindful of that cyclical nature of life, because there's so many lessons that we can draw from it.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And I think our intentions were aligned as well, to help others and ultimately raise consciousness. That's the mission in life, isn't it?
Exactly.
I think our intentions were aligned as well.
Yeah, and I think that there's something really important around that. One of the lessons I learned in leaving my last career was that when your values aren't aligned with of who you are with what you're doing, it there is resistance, and it's very difficult. It feels hard. It feels wrong. But this project was utterly the opposite, because both of our values and intentions were aligned with the outcome of what we wanted, and it goes to show how easy it is. I mean, if I mean, I don't know, like, I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but if you compare the design process for this with another project, are there any striking differences, like in terms of that articulating the need or the requirements or the number of changes, that sort of thing?
Oh, absolutely, yes. When I think about my past career, I mean, for the last few years, I've been more on an aligned journey with my work. So I'm working more with conscious businesses. That's my intention. But yeah, if I go back to when I worked with clients in London, for instance, in marketing agencies or publishing companies, yeah, they were absolutely so many, because yeah, so many. It was just sometimes like walking through treacle, trying to get to the end result.
Yeah.
Just to try and yeah, absolutely, so much easier. And yeah, so you can just tell when you're doing something that is aligned with
Yeah.
with your intentions.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to share a bit about, because obviously the sort of like the word side of can't really see that with the word side of the cards was more my arena of doing it, but just wanted to share that story of how we came about, which cards we start with doing and everything, because I had all these scraps of paper with all the ideas of topics for the cards on, and I think I had over 100, and I'd whittled it down to 52, and put them in categories. And we had thought about having specific categories to start off with, but there wasn't really enough of a even way of distributing categories, so that was abandoned. But we picked, I can't remember if it was 4 or 6 cards to start off with, the ones that we were going to work on, just to see if we could get the design and everything right. And we did
I think
that.
it was
8. We did that by literally having a deck of scraps of paper and
sitting on your floor.
We sat on the floor just behind where I am now, and we picked one at a time each to get these 8 cards that we were going to start. And it was just such a fun way of doing it. And we just like, well, those are the ones then. I loved creating in that way as well. Like, doesn't matter to me. It's the universe is going to show us which order we create this in, and it just seemed to work for them.
Yeah, and it was simple. And I think you can overcomplicate these things. I think whenever we started, because our mind kicked in a few times to try and overcomplicate things, didn't it? And for me, when I was designing them, I was thinking, okay, so we need several colours. We need to do them we need to sort of categorize them and have different colours. And then you came in, it's like, no, let's just keep them all one colour. And I was just like, okay, yeah, cool, great, brilliant.
Yeah.
Scrap that idea and just go with it.
Yeah, and it worked. And that's I mean, I don't know what the process for you deciding which images went on each card, but in terms of me writing the cards, because at times there were like 52 cards and the instruction cards. That's a lot of content to create. And it's the sort of thing that can really get you bogged down, and you sort of it feels like a drain to have to do it, a chore. So I literally had that stack of scrap paper next to me, bulldogged,
and would pull out one at a time. It's like, well, this is the next one. This is the next one. So it wasn't me going through it and it's my ego saying, oh, well, I don't like the look of that one today, or no, not that one. And it was literally, I trust that the card I get today, I'm going to have the inspiration to do it, and then it just be okay. And the words literally just came. It was really fascinating as a process.
Yeah, amazing. Because we can overthink these things, can't we? And if you just trust yourself, I'm learning to do that a lot more. Just trust myself and my design. Yeah. So even in the design process now, when I remember being a young designer, I used to overthink my pages and be I've got to get this right. But now I just trust myself and I just go with it, and it always works out.
Yeah. And did you, when you chose the pictures that went on the cards, did you have any, is that how you chose them? Because I know I deliberately tried not to say, I don't think that image should go with that card. I think there were like 2 or 3, 4 that maybe felt they could have been changed, and we did change them. But otherwise, I just went with whatever you put on there.
Yeah, and again, with the picture research, you have tiles of images on your screen, and I just went with the ones that just jumped out at me, literally. So that was the first thing, and then putting them to the copy. Again, I just used my intuition. Yeah. If it was talking about something soft, obviously a softer image would go better. For instance, this one, observing sensations in your body. Yeah. That just reminded me of perhaps a prickly feeling, or, even though it looks like a lovely soft flower. It
also looks like one of those muscle balls that you kind of roll if you want to get really into the deep knots. So that's also similar.
Massage ball.
Yeah.
So it was all very much in flow and just intuitive, and a joy to work on.
Yeah. And that was the same with the quotes at the bottom of the cards. I think started off by thinking, okay, maybe we can use other people's quotes, and the complication of doing that, like with copyright and getting permission and everything. It's like, why would I put myself even through that as a process?
Yeah.
So literally, it was I'll just write it myself then.
And the fact that you could make that decision so easily was great.
Yeah. I mean, it was honestly, it was such a joy to do, and I look forward to potentially doing another deck at some point, which
that would be amazing.
It was just such a beautiful process. Any other thoughts and reflections? I'm trying to think about if there was anything else that stood out as I flicked through them that came up when we were doing it.
I just think it's such a wonderful product and thing, and that's just going to change so many people's lives for the better. And the way it came about was just like so effortless. I want to say effortless. It's just really shown me how I can work so joyfully, and it doesn't have to be a slog. We've been taught to push and nose to the grindstone, and it just doesn't have to be like that. You can produce these beautiful things and do what you love and enjoy your life at the same time.
And I think the thing that comes to mind for me when I hear you saying that, and that's what I say often as well, is that I then think to myself, well, is it easier for me because I work for myself and I have a little bit more control over my environment? Excuse me, coughing. But then if I think about somebody who's in employment and has a deliverable going with their energetic flow on a particular day, they still can use this sort of process by choosing the things on a particular day that work better for them.
Absolutely. And I'm a good example of that, because I'm freelance, yet I go into companies' offices and work for them for some days. And when I do, you just live in the moment. If I live in the moment and I want to enjoy every moment rather than thinking, oh, I've got to go to the office, I think, amazing, I get to go to an office. This is great, and I get to work with these people, and it's going to be a great day. Yeah. And whenever I've got that attitude and I'm going in, it always is a great day, and it always works out really well.
Yeah. And I think there's that, if you've got, let's say, a deadline coming up on a Friday, you're like, oh my God, I've got to get this done. I've got to do this, got to do this, got to do this. Trusting that when you lean into the moments where you maybe need to go a bit slower and take some time to reflect, that when that moment has passed, your capacity to do and achieve and produce is so greatly enhanced that you will still meet the deadline, but probably with a higher quality output and with less emotional impact on your way of being, with better mental well-being as a result of doing it that way.
Yeah,
so I think it's definitely something that I encourage people to play around with trying, feeling into what feels good, what feels right, what feels easy, rather than no, I have to do, go.
Yeah, it comes back to that trusting yourself as well. For me, I trust my ability now to get the job done and to get the job done well. Whereas in my younger life, I perhaps was trying too hard because my worth kind of depended on whether I was going to get this job done well. And I now know I've done a lot of work, and I know my worth doesn't depend on how I perform at work, and therefore I perform better. Yeah. So trusting yourself, isn't it? And
that's my word of the year: trust.
Awesome.
Trust. It's a good one. So, any parting tips or anything like that you would like to share?
Well, I think trusting yourself and trusting your ability, and just knowing that life's short, so why wouldn't you want to enjoy every moment wherever you are? Even it's acceptance for me, acceptance to where you are and whatever's going on in your life right now, acceptance of that, and then you can create from a better place.
And definitely I would add that co-creation is a beautiful process, and it doesn't have to be hard to do. It can be absolutely beautiful. And personally, I look forward to co-creating with you again, because it was such fun. So watch this space, everybody. I'm sure that we'll be back with something else just as beautiful, if not more.
That would be amazing. Look forward to it.
Brilliant.
A hard act to follow.
Exactly. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been absolutely wonderful.
Thanks
and
for having
really
me.
nice to have the company as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Shine Your Light, Reach Your Best podcast. Your support is greatly appreciated, so please follow the show. I'd love you to like, comment and share this episode with anyone else whose light needs some help shining. I'd love to hear from you, and I'm open to having guests on my podcast. So if you would like to share your story, please send me an email to claire@reachingmybest.com or click on the link in the show notes. So for now, keep shining and reaching for your best.